So we're at number 4 draft picks. And to have fun with this, I got my Kansas City Scouts hat and t-shirt on. I don't have a jersey. No. If anybody's asking, before you even ask, no. Now again, draft picks are funny. And grading draft picks is kind of hard to do. So 2017's number 4 draft pick is not on this list because he's not played a game in the NHL yet. And after yesterday's confusion over Goodbranson being at 8 over Dylan Strome and Pierre-Luc Dubois, it makes me wonder if I shouldn't just, if a guy hasn't played in the NHL, he's not even going to show up on the list, and I'll just do a top 8 or top 9. I don't know. Top 10, number 4 draft picks from 2007 to 2016. Number 10, and I really don't think anybody's going to get upset with this, is Griffin Reinhart. Griffin, there was a lot of expectation with Griffin Reinhart. And there was a belief that he was more of a stay-at-home defenseman. But he was capable and could potentially be a really good two-way defenseman. It hasn't panned out at the NHL level. He now belongs to the Vegas Golden Knights, and this is his probably last shot at the NHL. If it doesn't pan out with the Golden Knights, he likely gets another recycle with another team, one more, and then after that he's probably looking at Europe. It's a shame, because I'd like to see the Reinhart boys succeed, all 3 of them. Because Paul Reinhart was one of my favorite players. Anybody who watches this channel knows that. And that includes when he was in Calgary, and I wasn't a big fan of Calgary. Number 9, Thomas Hickey. Hickey's ahead of Reinhart because Hickey's in the NHL. Hickey has really done well to stick with it when other players might have given up. And at the time that he was drafted by the LA Kings, it was seen as a huge reach. And it still is. Of the draft picks available, Hickey at number 4 was crazy. Right after him was Kyle Alsner, then Sam Gagner, then Jacob Voracek. Zach Hamill was 8th. Whoops. Logan Couture at 9th. Imagine if Boston had drafted Couture. Oh, yeah, there's that. So there were better options for the Kings, but they went off the board, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Number 8 is going to make people wonder. I think even though his rookie season wasn't great, I think Jesse Puljujarvi has shown more already at the pro level than Hickey would be able to keep up with or Griffin Reinhart has to this point in his career. So for me, Puljujarvi is 8th right now. So any Oilers fans that are like, wait, Puljujarvi's better than... yeah, not yet. He hasn't proved it yet. Number 7. The wrestling fan in me wants to say Mike. The hockey fan in me says Sam Bennett. Number 7 is Bennett because despite promising stats and some promising stuff with him, he hasn't really put it all together yet. He had a long dry spell for Calgary last year. I really think he can come out of it. I think he's young enough to come out of it. But there's some belief among some fans, not most of them Calgary fans, but among some outside Calgary fans that he may be a bust. I don't think bust is the right term when you're looking at number 4 draft pick, but I can understand why people use it. I just don't agree with it. Number 6. This guy would be higher on the list if not for a lot of issues that follow him. Evander Kane is tricky. In terms of pure talent, he can be one of the top 30 players in the league. And I mean all around. But the off-ice stuff, the ego stuff, and just the general disconnect he has with a lot of fans. And then he has the times where you almost wonder, did his teammates want to pass to him? He had a very good year this year. He did. But I still, when I hear the Canucks tied and rumors to Evander Kane, I kind of wince a little bit because I don't know that that's the right environment for Kane. Vancouver kind of has a party reputation, and I would think that Kane, if he's going to keep his career on track, might be better off being kept away from that as much as possible. Number 5, and it was hard to put this guy at 5 ahead of Kane, to be completely honest. But Adam Larson proved himself in Edmonton last year. This time last year, most people were skewering Peter Chiarelli for trading out Taylor Hall for Adam Larson. There's not as many people skewering Chiarelli now. And I never did. I totally understood the trade at the time, and I defended it at the time, and to the chagrin of many. But I stood by it because I still felt like a top 4 defenseman is worth a top 6 forward, and even a premier forward if it's a premier defenseman, and I think Larson is that. Not offensively, but they didn't really need him to be that offensively. They needed that rock on the blue line they haven't had in a long time. Maybe since Pronger. Number 4, Mitch Marner. Marner was dynamite for the Leafs this past season. Marner quickly became one of my favorite players on skates. And that's saying something since I've never been a Leafs fan, but man, Marner is so exciting and fun to watch. And he could end up being number 1 on this list if I redo it a couple years from now. Because he's that damn good. That being said, I think Seth Jones had a dynamite season for Columbus this past season. And I was really surprised when Nashville traded him, to be honest. Because I really thought at the time he was drafted that he was talented enough to be number 1. And the Hockey News actually projected him to go number 1, and then he went number 4. But he is that good. He's good enough to be, I think, a top 2 defenseman in this league. And I really think Columbus, with Jones and Werenski, they're set on the blue line for the foreseeable future. They really, really are. But number 2, the guy he was traded for, Ryan Johansson. Johansson was a first-line center for Nashville. They got to the final, and you could tell they really missed him in the final against Pittsburgh. And Penguins fans say, well, it wouldn't have mattered. They still would have beat Nashville even if Johansson was out there. Sure, maybe, or maybe not. Johansson, I discussed during the playoffs about Kessler getting in his head and stuff like that, but I will not decry his talent. He is a fantastic talent, and when he puts it all together, I don't see any reason he couldn't be a point-per-game player, which is crazy in this league now, with the goal-scoring being down the way it is. So for me, he's the number 2 guy, which means number 1, and again, we're into the number 4 draft pick. I like Peter Angelo. I'm going to tell you why. When St. Louis traded out Shattenkirk, everyone, including myself, said, well, the Blues have thrown in the towel. The Blues have given up. That blue line isn't good enough. Peter Angelo played better after the trade deadline. Alex Pietrangelo proved as well in the playoffs that he really is a premier defenseman in the NHL. There may be a lot of help for him and maybe defense by committee in St. Louis, but really he is the main guy. And with Shattenkirk out of the Blues organization, he is their number 1 guy. And for me, he had to be number 1 on this list. I couldn't have Johansson number 1. I couldn't have Jones number 1, obviously. I can't have Jones ahead of Pietrangelo. And for me, while Johansson is a really solid top-line center, I couldn't argue against Pietrangelo being number 1. So you guys can let me know your picks. Hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. And thank you so much for watching. While the heat is what the heat is, it is nice to be in here talking to you cool people. And I'll talk to you again soon.